Okay, this will be the broadcast for B370. We go for, I think, just waiting for the other team members to show up. So I'm just going to give you dead space for a little bit. Hello, is anyone in there now?
Yeah, I am, but I don't know if anybody else is.
Who is this? I'm looking for
Lisa.
Okay.
This is Lisa.
Hello.
Sorry, it's going to be a little dark. I'm in the back of a car, so.
You know what? I switched off my screen to try to find everyone. So, because I'm not the best at Google, I admit it. Right up front.
No, I'm not either. I think it's new to everybody.
I thought I had it all ready to go. I was in the room. But That's not very good group work.
We're all learning, don't you worry.
How did you get in?
So when you sent the email to me, it's on the through the Hangout link. It said you invited me to a Hangout, and so I just clicked accept, and it brought me into it.
Okay, so if somebody else hits the phone messages, now we'll know what to tell them.
So now Nick is here too.
Hello, Nick.
Hola.
Okay, I'm gonna revite Amanda. For some reason, it does not like Amanda's address. Am I the only one that can invite?
That's a good question. I think so, because you're the one that created the Hangout.
Okay. Don't do that.
Weird.
Okay, that's me. I'm in twice now.
I want to try something.
Hello. I can hear you, Annette. I'm trying to get you in. For some reason, it does not like your email address. So I'm going to try again here. Okay, so Annette, give it to me. Yes?
Okay. Now we've got an echo going.
Okay, let me mute.
I think the problem is you did the wrong kind of a link. It's showing a YouTube link instead of a Google Hangout.
Problem.
But it looks like you've got some other people in. So
Yeah.
my email.
Okay, just
Sunny's having a hard time getting in.
Yeah, I'm sending Sunny it right now. Okay, there's an invite to Sunny.
So I posted the Hangout link underneath the YouTube link.
Annette,
Annette. There you are, Annette Finch, right?
Yeah, AnnetteFin2@gmail.
Okay, and we're looking for Suni as well too. Suni Dillard, there she is. And Amanda. Okay, see what happens if this will get you guys in.
Okay. Well, we got a message from you. Answer. Okay, a little different this time.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Okay, there you're in. Okay, so I'm going to hang up with you on the phone because you're here.
All right. Bye.
All right, bye.
Okay, so hopefully. Okay, so I'm going to do roll call just based off everyone who sent me a quick email. Amanda's in?
Yep. Did you send Sunny a message?
I did. Is Nick in?
Yep.
Okay, Jocelyn? I think she's the older lady, right?
Yeah, she was
Lisa?
trying to get in.
I'm here.
Lisa's here. Is Lonnie
Yes.
here?
Yep, I'm here.
And Suni?
Yeah, Sunny's here.
Sunny, sorry.
That's
Thanks.
okay.
Okay, so I think all we're missing then is
Jocelyn.
Jocelyn. Let me try to add her one more time. So sorry everyone about my less than perfect Google skills. Last time I did this, Hangouts on Air was still kind of the main thing. So, all right, I'm going to call Jocelyn and see if we can get her in here. Here she's calling. Hi, Jocelyn. I was just ready to call you. Okay, so you see me? Okay, let me put you on speakerphone, and people who are better than I am are going to help. Jocelyn, she has a problem. Okay, she can see us all, but she can't, she's not in the room. What does anyone suggest she does?
She needs to go to Google Hangouts website, and there should be a message there for her on the Gmail. If you send it to her Gmail
Your lips
email,
are
then
talking, but I can't. Have you gotten an email and clicked on it?
On in my Gmail account, right?
Yeah, I just sent it to you.
Should pop up on the left.
Why don't you leave the room and let me invite?
Oh, wait,
Oh.
there it is. Okay, and then I click on Google Hangouts. There.
Okay, so are you in? Not yet. Okay, you're there. I see you. Okay, I'm gonna say goodbye on the phone. So I think we got everyone in. Sorry about that, everyone.
Okay.
Okay, are we there?
Okay.
Okay, so let's get started on this. We are talking this week about diversity. And someone was asked to talk about assimilation.
Wait, real quick before we start,
Yep.
we're recording the broadcast now, right?
Yes, it does. Yeah, we've been recording for a long time.
Yeah. He's gonna be like, you guys had a 2-hour meeting. Awesome.
I know, right? No, we've only
Okay,
been,
good.
I turned it on at about 8 o'clock.
Okay, good.
So
Just
maybe
wanted to make sure.
7:59. Yeah, I assume, because my button on the bottom says stop broadcast. So, and it says live on top. So I assume we're recording.
Yeah, it's live. You're good.
Okay. All right. So let's get back to the assignments from this morning.
If it's a simulation, I had it.
Okay. Yes, please, Nick.
Awesome. So what I'm going to tell you guys is straight from the book. So a simulation, the premise is that we're all the same. That's kind of the thinking. And the strategy is that they hire diverse employees and they encourage uniform behavior. So it's just, they don't look at differences. They don't really acknowledge it. It's just everyone's kind of the same and they kind of ignore diversity. The advantages of a assimilation is it promotes fair hiring. Everyone has a shot at getting hired, but the disadvantages is subverting differences and encourage harmony. Companies miss out on new ideas, and the employees will feel detached from work, and they'll underperform. And so you asked me to give a personal experience about simulation, about how we're all the same, and it was kind of tough, I'll be honest. I'm not super diverse myself, but I think the best example is I had one position where they didn't care who you were, they just wanted a body. So when I was a psychiatric technician at a hospital, they didn't care who you were, just as long as you could do the job. And this was in Utah, so there's Polynesians hired. The oldest hire that they had was about a 75-year-old guy. And so it was just bodies. So I don't know. Is there any other questions or any way I can expound that more for you guys? Or
The example that came to mind when I was reading that is, I don't know how many of y'all that are in Rexburg have worked at the call center, but again, they don't care who you are as long as you can fill a spot and make phone calls. So that was the example that I thought of when I was reading it.
So question,
Okay.
are you guys saying, when I hear that, I think just fill a spot, I kind of think of that in a negative way. Do you mean that as a positive or negative thing?
Negative.
Negative. Okay, because relating to like harassment and equality, it sounds like, oh, they don't care who you are. But okay, I just want to make sure I was catching that.
Yeah, the bottom line idea for that concept was, it started, you know, when they first started hiring diverse from different cultures, they basically said, okay, we want so that everybody is equal. Everyone has to act the same. You can't bring anything to the table. You just have to act exactly like everybody else around you so that everybody's equal. Just assimilate into the system. That way there can't be any discrimination because everybody's exactly the same.
It makes me think of that comedy show Outsource, where they had a call center over in India, and they were giving everybody lessons on how to speak like you were in New York or speak like you were in LA, because they didn't want them to, you know, be their own culture and have their own good. They just wanted them to act a certain way. Okay, Josh isn't here. Does anyone else want to explain, kind of off the cuff, differentiation?
I can a little bit, but if someone else wants to talk, that's okay too.
Go for it, Amanda.
Okay, when they started with assimilation, they went to the huge extreme of everybody be exactly the same. And then they started realizing that that wasn't working, so they went to the complete polar opposite of, okay, let's differentiate a little bit, and so let's embrace different cultures, and they started putting people into groups where their culture would do the most benefit. For example, if the company had an office in, say, England, they would hire English employees that could match the culture. They'd know how to run a business in England, but instead of learning how they knew how to do that, they just had their English branch run it, and if everyone in England quit, they were pretty much like their whole branch was shut down because they didn't bother to find out what the differences were. They just grabbed people that already knew it and used them.
Okay, so do you have an example for that one?
Not a personal one. I don't think I have one off the top of my head, no. Sorry.
That's okay. Any ideas from the group? I have one that's kind of a stretch, but sometimes church callings get a little bit that way. You have the people who know music get music callings, and the people who are teachers get teacher callings. So that was the only idea that came to my mind.
In our ward, our bishop makes us grow and doesn't necessarily do that.
That's good.
So yeah, but I totally know what you mean.
All right, Lisa, you're next.
Okay, mine was on integration. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So
No.
I think
Lisa's joining us from a car, so I think.
Yes. So if it's a little noisy, let me know. I'm doing my best. So when we all think of integration, you know, I always think of, you know, when they integrated the blacks with the whites into schools, and it was this huge deal or whatever, but they saw that it worked and it made the schools better. So then, you know, I think that they just went from there integrating different cultures, diversities, knowledge, even if you want to think about it that way, into the, you know, into workforces and they've seen the results of, you know, just their business has done better, I think. But an example, I guess, that I can think of, it's probably different
Nathan or Luke, please quickly give me my power cord from my bedroom. I think it's on your dad's side.
I think it's I don't know, different. What I saw, I worked in assisted livings, and rather than having to worry about integration with, you know, within the employees, we had to talk to and deal with the residents, who were mostly older white residents who were really racist. And so if we had Hispanics come working for us, even if they were fabulous workers, some of them did not want them in their rooms helping them. So what we had to do was find ways to show these elderly people who were raised in a completely different generation that it was okay, and that they were the same, that they would actually they could learn. We had this big fiesta for one of our meals, one of our dinners, and it was the biggest success at the building. They loved it. And then they were able to realize, oh, okay, maybe it's not so bad, you know, and that's a little bit different, but we didn't really have a problem with the employees, you know, but that older generation really did have a problem with it.
That's a great example. Thank you. Okay, next, Sunny is going to talk to us a little bit. And we're not supposed to just answer the questions down the line. So if somebody has a thought to add or something, you're okay.
I have a really funny story that goes along with Lisa's point, if anybody's interested.
Go for it.
Chris's great something grandmother, she's still alive, her name is Edeltraud Frickberg, and she was a Hitler Youth in Germany. And so when we talk to her and when we visit her, she gets very, very upset about all of the Jewish people that work in the in the center where she lives, because she can't understand why everyone is so mad at Hitler, because she honestly believes that he was the best thing that ever happened for the Jewish culture. And so it's really funny. We're sitting there having lunch and she's making all these comments, and it's like, oh my gosh. It's funny because she hasn't got the idea that different cultures can live together and work together and associate together. She is very much white people hang out with white people and everybody else just leave us alone kind of an idea. So, and it's not just the Jews that she picks on too. She picks on pretty much everybody that's not white. So.
Yeah, it was definitely a different generation. Okay. Next, Sunny is going to talk to us about Melody Hobson's TED Talk about color blindness. And the first question is that Melody says color blindness is dangerous. Do we agree? And is she making the same points as the authors of Making Differences Matter?
Okay, so after watching that, her speech and then reading, I think that, well, I'm answering it backwards, sorry. Yes, they were definitely, I think, teaching the same point. Sorry, I'm so tired today. Some common things with both her speech and that material was that employees should use their differences to shape new goals, processes, leadership approaches, and teams. When people feel, when they're not blind to color differences, or, you know, she says color, but really it's any kind of difference. They feel more committed to their jobs. It promotes equal opportunities. And one of the things that was interesting that she said and was in the reading was that naturally tensions will arise. And it reminded me of the Army team case study where it just said tensions arise and you resolve them. And then also that the diversity should be leveraged, and you can take advantage of the different perspectives that the different cultures and races bring. So I think yes, that she is saying color blindness is negative, and I agree with that. I think it's a learned behavior where we we just pretend to not notice race because it makes us uncomfortable. And so we just ignore the problem. Something else I thought of during that talk was that we are colorblind out of fear. And I've always, through life, just taught myself that if I'm making a decision out of fear, that's the wrong motivation. Like going back to school. I'm a single mom with 2 kids. I work full time and I have a photography business. Christina's not here, but she would be like, oh, that's nothing, because I know she's always busy. But I was really afraid. I was really afraid to go back to school. I was like, I can't handle this. Here's one of them. Anyways, and one of my friends was like, don't make decisions out of fear. And so that's really stuck with me. And that's something that I thought of when I was listening to that talk, was that if you're being colorblind out of fear, that's the wrong motivation. So.
Does anyone have anything to add on that from the TED Talk?
You know, I kind of screwed up. I didn't realize that was the stuff we were supposed to be prepared on tonight. I read the article about the 5 different people where they fired them for different reasons. But talking about what Sunny was talking about, where you make your decisions based on fear, you're exactly right. It's the wrong way to make a decision. And I am sort of in the same boat as you. I'm a single mom of 3, and I had to make some decisions that were uncomfortable to make, but I was making all of the wrong decisions in my life because of fear in the beginning. So I don't feel that color blindness, I don't think that I look at different people out of fear. I think I place judgment on people for different colors or ethnicities that I shouldn't do. I live in Southern California, and we have a huge melting pot of all different ethnicities and races. And it's sometimes I don't even think about it. They're just people, you know. I don't see the color anymore. But other times when I'm really frustrated and irritated and I'm driving on the road and I just go, oh my gosh, this person doesn't know how to drive. They must be blah, blah, blah ethnicity, you know, something. And it's weird because you shouldn't do that, you know, and it's not politically correct or nice or whatever. But I think that we all place judgments on people because of their race. And I don't know, being in California, it's really a huge melting pot. We just don't. There's so many different ethnicities that it's hard to remember that we're actually that different.
Yeah, and I live up in Western Washington, and same kind of thing, that is very diverse up here. And I think that until you live in a very diverse place, harder to experience. I have family that are in Wyoming, and they have totally different views and outlooks just because of life experiences and lack of having opportunities to be around diversity. So that kind of leads us into Jocelyn's question, which is colorblindness the same thing as discrimination and fairness assimilation?
Okay. I'm going to start off with one thing first. Just, I never really thought about this, but as we're talking about it, I married a Hawaiian Chinese guy. My husband was Hawaiian Chinese. And to me, I didn't think it as diversity, but as we've gone through life, and then as the kids, you know, they've, you know, had experiences, stuff like that. Am I, yeah, here. Does this help? Sorry. Anyway, so the diversity, even though he, you know, when I think of my husband, he doesn't even seem like, you know, I mean, he's gone now, but it seemed like he was just like me, you know. I didn't even see any difference. Anyway, I just have to throw that out because I think it's interesting. Anyway, the color blindness, going with the I have to write this down. The discrimination and fairness assimilation paradigm, right? That you said. So it did talk about color blindness, and it it was really quite interesting because it's kind of some of the same stuff we talked about. These companies, they just look at hiring minorities or people with diversity just to meet their quota, kind of, to say, just to, like as they said, like a call center, we're just filling the spots. We did our job, we're filling the spots, we have diversity in our company. But they become colorblind when they don't look at what they can do besides just fill a spot. They can, they can also set goals, they can create teams, they can lead, they can do other things besides just fill that slot for a minority. There was a couple of quotes that I really liked. It says, the stuff that, so sometimes we look at diversity, and it's this man, I wrote it down wrong. Anyway. So really, they're just looking at people to fill the job. They don't look at them to help. They're colorblind because they don't look at them to help them improve anywhere. It's like the councils, like, a bishop will use lots of people to help solve a problem. Companies use diversity they need to use diversity to help their company be better. Because everybody has such good ideas, So that's kind of that's kind of the take that I took on colorblindness.
Okay, but I have to say something that I just noticed. Well, that I noticed when you were speaking, which was really interesting, is I say this in a nice way, you were absolutely colorblind to your husband's ethnicity. So in that way, isn't that a good thing?
Yeah, well, yeah, okay, so you're
really
colorblind, but there's two different things. See, to me, we worked together and we worked together. We saw, it was hard at first because there were different things that we had to work out because he was raised different than I was. But yeah. But
I'm just saying, in that case, it sounds like it was a good thing, like a beautiful thing, so.
It was. We're all going to be brown when we die. You know that. Our spirits are brown.
One thing that you were talking about, Jocelyn, I wanted to bring up, that brought to my mind was that they're filling a spot in a position because a person is a certain race or ethnicity. That can be bad because, I've been applying for jobs lately and I've been turned down. One of the last ones that I was the top 2 and I wasn't selected. I was so disappointed because the person that was selected had 5 years experience in the company. I have like 20 plus years experience in the company. And it was just like, okay, why did they pick this guy? And then I don't know if it was a gender thing or if he was friends of somebody but I was so much more qualified than he was. And I don't know, he was Hispanic. I don't know if that's what it was, but I was like, oh my gosh, this is so irritating. And I think that happens a lot in the workplace where a company has to fill a spot and they fill it with somebody that fits the right ethnicity or the right gender or something, and that sucks.
And I guess what I really got out of reading, because I just read just enough to do my little talk tonight, was that they do hire, but once they hire them, they don't use them to help do other things. Does that make sense? So that's why it seems like they're colorblind.
So maybe they're just hired to fill the spot, like the telemarketing position.
Yeah, and some do, but then they need to be able to use those people to help improve in other areas. But a call center, they don't probably have, it's not like the big companies. They just want a body.
Yeah, makes sense.
So anyway.
Okay, so I'm going to move us along a little bit. Christina's going to talk a little bit about why the author believes that integration, learning, and effectiveness paradigm is the best approach. Oh, you know what? Is Christina the one that dropped the class?
Yeah, she dropped.
So, why do we think that having integration and learning and being effective is the best paradigm?
The thought that came to my mind when you said that was what Jocelyn was saying about how she and her husband are from different backgrounds, but they had to learn to work together. And I think that that's applicable to all these situations. We all come from different backgrounds. My husband and I are both as pale white as you can possibly be, and we are both very, very different because he was raised in the Bay Area and I am a farm girl from Idaho. And so as you take your differences and use them together, you can create something much better than if you try and fight each other and just do it your own way, your own time. It's not going to be as effective. And that is very true for businesses. So yeah, that's just my thought.
Okay, so the next question asks that Hobson encourages us all to be color brave. What do we think color braveness looks like in the workplace? Anyone? Okay, I'll answer this. Oh, go ahead.
Okay, well, something that I was thinking of, I guess, that kind of, when you said that, you know, kind of going along with what we've talked about of how sometimes they bring in, you know, the diversity just to fill a spot, to fill the minority, whatever they're trying to go for, you know, and they're doing it not thinking that that person's really going to contribute, but if they pick the right person, can be capable of making and helping, you know, the business or anything with different ideas, with different things, they can actually add a whole bunch to it, you know. So I think being color brave is giving the person a chance, no matter what, whatever their difference may be, but giving them a chance, because you never know who's going to add to your, you know, workplace.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and answer. Oh, yep.
Oh, I was just going to add something about the businesses where if you do hire people that are other ethnicities, you're going to attract a customer that is the same ethnicity. And the more that you have, if different ethnicities, you know, the better your chance your business has, you know, surviving. I know there's like you know, different cultural things that are considered good luck and bad luck, especially in a lot of the Asian cultures. And I think that, you know, sometimes it takes asking and being color brave. Hey, you know what? I'm not understanding what's going on here or what the problem is. Could you explain to me maybe some of these cultural differences that are causing problems in our workforce? And I think that, you know, those things can help businesses survive and be better.
My husband works at USAA here in San Antonio, and there are a lot of Indian, from the Indian culture, not Native Americans, but the subcontinent of India, and it's a very different culture than what we're used to. And so there are some communication issues that my husband has had to figure out because they communicate differently than we do. Some of the things that they consider rude, we don't consider rude, and vice versa, and things like that. So.
Okay, so the next one talks about how it basically asks, have you ever been in a team or a group or organization where one person's ideas or approach to doing work was hard for the rest of the group to understand because of a difference? So from my own experience, I've been in dentistry, 23 years, and I was working in an office with mostly, I'm not going to say older, but 30 to 40-year-old women who had been at it a long time. And then the office hired a 20-year-old right out of school, really acted like she was 14, to be kind of the office cleanup girl. And between the generational problems and her professionalism, it was really hard for the group to understand, because you'd ask her to do something and she'd roll her eyes and go, that was her job. That was what she was getting paid to do. And that was really hard to work with. Okay, so next. Oh, I hear a mic.
Oh, I was just going to kind of add to what you were saying, kind of at a different perspective, though. So I'd worked as a CNA for a few years and was, had quite a bit of experience with it. And then I was offered a position to manage one of the assisted livings in the group of homes that my boss owned. And so I was coming in as the young buck who'd only had, you know, so many years of experience as a CNA, and a lot of my staff that I was now, you know, in charge of were a lot older, had a ton more experience, and they did not like me. And I totally understood that, you know. I was offered the position and I didn't want to turn it down, and I, you know, did my best. I enjoyed it, you know, and eventually we were able to work to where we got along great, and I learned a lot from them. They had a lot of great ideas for me, and I had a lot of great ideas for them, but it is hard come to that point, and there was a lot of headbutting and a lot of disagreements, you know, through the whole building with the entire staff. So kind of a different spin on what you were saying.
That's good perspective. Okay, what could have been done in that situation to gain from the diversity of the group? So, how did you gain from your group, Lisa? What and how?
What did I gain? That's a good question. So I had some really great, like, CNAs, you know, they were single moms. Most of them were, that were working my nights. And I wasn't there at night, obviously, because I had to sleep sometime because I was there all day. But they had, I just gained a greater respect for the insight that they were able to give me on the building, changes that needed to be done, things that I could do, you know, better. But I would hope that they gained from me also that you can't judge a book by its cover. They thought I was coming in some young teenage brat, you know, but they realized that I was a really hard worker, that I was there to get the job done, you know, and we had to work hard and just gain a respect for each other, you know, to make it work. Otherwise it would have just fallen apart.
All right. So this next question is interesting, and one I don't have any experience with. It says that many companies still have problems with outright discrimination. Has anyone ever worked for a company like that or observed outright discrimination, and what was it like?
I actually worked for a company that was, it was 5 Hispanic males and me. And it was a shame because what I did was fun. I got to be creative. It was fun work. But I don't know what it is about. Okay, I'm not going to be, for some reason, it seemed like Hispanic males didn't have a problem openly saying that you're attractive, I guess, is the best way to put it. You know, even like in a neighborhood, Hispanics are more likely to call out.
Yes.
I don't know what it is. I'm not trying to be rude. It's just,
Nope.
And so I worked with 5, and they would just feed off of each other. So it ended up leaving because of that. It wasn't, didn't involve like touching or anything, but it was, they were definitely discriminating because I was a young white woman in this job with all these males that had a different culture. And also I was the secretary, and they very much like made it clear that was like, you're the secretary, we're the important men. So, you know, my parents at the time, I wasn't living at home obviously, but they were like, you should probably say or do something about that. But I never did, and I don't regret it, but it was pretty outright. I don't know if they were just desensitized to it because there were 5 of them. But yeah, they definitely didn't treat me well. So, you know, not to be cocky, but they lost an awesome employee, and I went on to bigger and better things. So it was kind of their loss, but I would say that was pretty outright discrimination that was kind of accepted. So
I work for a large grocery store, and several years back, there was an issue with the company. They were being sued for not putting women in management positions. It was all men, and it was a lot of white men in the management positions. And they ended up in a lawsuit, and it was a class action lawsuit. And they paid out quite a bit of money to a lot of people, depending on your years of service, was how much money you got back. And at the time, it was a lot of money. After they had to pay that settlement out, it was amazing how quickly so many women were promoted into those management positions, and everything changed. It's really sad that it had to come to a lawsuit for them to realize that they were doing wrong, and that someone else had to tell them how to behave the right way. That's what was the saddest part of it all.
Yeah. All right. So moving on, she tells about the ESPN president, John Skipper, answers yes to the question, do we hire the minority or the person who's most qualified? And he used to say yes and yes. So yes, he wanted them to hire the minority, and yes, it needed to be the person who was the most qualified. Do you think that's the right approach for getting diversity? Meeny, meeny, miny, mo. Okay, Nick, why don't you go for that one? You haven't talked for a little bit.
I don't know if that's the right approach. I feel like hiring someone just because they fall underneath a like the diversity group isn't appropriate. A person should be hired based upon their skill sets and whether they can meet the qualifications of the job. So I don't know, when we were talking about being color brave or colorblind, I feel like I side more with a colorblind approach where I shouldn't let a person's color interfere with my judgment. So for me personally, I feel like it should go to who's the most qualified, not, like, oh, well, we need more like Hispanics or Africans in our business, so we'll hire him over this other guy who is more qualified. So
does anyone want to add in on that?
And I agree with you, Nick, what you're saying. That's exactly how I feel. The thing that was kind of confusing to me during that statement made it sound like you have to find someone who is both a minority and the most qualified. And that, I mean, maybe I misunderstood it, but that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I've been a manager in hiring positions, and I mean, are you supposed to just keep searching forever? I kind of didn't understand. And if she's going,
was
I don't know.
I think that was the point.
I would say.
And I think that was the point she was making, is that at ESPN they did search until they found a minority who was the most qualified, more qualified than a non-minority,
And in that sense,
I think
that's unfair, because then what about all of the people that aren't minorities that they passed up because they were the majority? That doesn't make sense to me. So I would probably say I disagree with that.
It's like reverse racism.
All right. So we're going to go on. Did anyone get to the Elder Ballard talk? Anybody?
I did a little bit. It was more, I see why he put it on there, but it was more church related, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It was all about, the councils, the bishops, so the bishop's not the one doing anything, I thought it was a really good talk. But
so I'm going to kind of basically put this into a nutshell. Elder Ballard gave a talk, and he said, at this meeting, these people attend for PEC. At Ward Council, these people attend. At this meeting, this people attend. And then he talked about how are supposed to be a place where everybody gives opinions and then they solve the problem. So he said he was doing training, and he gave a bishop a problem. Then he sat down with his church council and the bishop came in and said, I'm just going to make the story up, but okay, the Smiths are having problems coming into church because, number one, dad's out of a job. Number two, mom's working at nights and dad doesn't get the kids up. And so we're going to solve this by the primary presidency is going to go over and help get the kids ready. And the elders quorum presidency is going to do this. And, you know, he had all the solutions. And Elder Ballard basically said, that's not how we want to run church councils. We want it to be kind of a case study like our classes, where the bishop comes in and says, okay, the Smith family is having problems getting to church because of A, B, and C. How should we solve it? And then sit back and listen to the diverse opinions of a Relief Society and us primary and all those things to help get the diversity. So now with that in the nutshell, has anyone seen bishops or other church leaders use the diversity of a ward council to get to better solutions?
Well, when I was the primary president, I really appreciated it when we went in and we had a question, when they had a question and they asked all of us and they liked my idea. I thought that was pretty cool, you know. It wasn't just the men, it was the women too.
Has anyone in our group served a mission and so they had to be at ward councils all the time? I just went to my very first one the other day, so I have not much experience. Okay, so we don't have very many ward council goers. So there you go. We don't have lots to say.
I mean, I guess the only thing that I can say is, from my experience in ward councils, and I was a primary president as well, is, you know, everybody gives their ideas and how it can be solutioned, but making the ultimate decision often in ward councils are more difficult because nobody wants to step on anybody else's toes, and they want to make sure that everybody's included. And so sometimes I think that that can be a bad thing, that there's not a person to make a final decision. But I do like that everybody can bring their opinions to the table. But I just think that everybody's very polite in ward council.
Yes, we don't want to offend, do we? All right. So the Making Difference article assumes that there is some value to companies in promoting a diverse workforce. Do we agree with that? What do we think the advantages are, and what do we think the disadvantages are? Diverse workplace. So how about we go down the line and we'll start over here with Amanda. Amanda, tell us at first a benefit of a diverse workplace.
The benefit is you learn to work with other people that think differently than you do.
Okay. And
oh, sorry, go ahead. I was just gonna say, and a con, in my opinion, is I wish we didn't even have to use the word diversity at all, and everyone could just get along with everybody. And as we have to push more to allow minorities in order to be diverse, it feeds the reverse problem of the majorities get pushed out, even if they're more qualified. So that's my thoughts.
Very valid. Okay, Annette, what's your thoughts?
Okay, well, as I said before, you know, having those other cultures there in your company, like, you know, working in this grocery store, you're going to have, like, we have a lot of Hispanic employees, okay, and you have Hispanic customers. Well, you know, I did take Spanish, but I can't speak to those people, you know, the way that they want their questions answered. So, you know, having someone there that can help them in their native language is a huge benefit to the company. And I mean, for me as a manager, you know, I've got that resource at my side if ever there's a problem that arises and I can't solve it. I don't know, a con, I think about a lot with culture and people's differences. They, you know, they're inbred. They come from when you're little, and you just, it's not something that somebody wants to give up. So I think that what was that word, assimilation or whatever, where you want people to leave all that stuff at the front door. I don't think that's always a good thing, but sometimes it can go against you too, because, you know, if one person's opinions or culture rubs against someone else the wrong way, it can cause problems. But I don't know. Does that make sense?
It does. Okay, Jocelyn, do you have an idea to share with us?
She's on mute.
Yeah, how about if I
Jocelyn, we
unmute?
can't. There we go.
People, when they come from different backgrounds, they have different experiences, and you can give your ideas that will help. Like, for instance, you know, say I've raised my kids, and I see a young mother, and I can give her, hey, you know, this is something that you might look at in raising your kids. You know, I mean, I try not to tell it to my kids, but you know, I wish I could. Anyway, so I think it's really important to have diversity, and just because you can get so many different ideas from so many different walks of life is what you have. And
Okay, Lonnie. Do you have a disadvantage?
No.
Okay, Lonnie, I'm going to hit you up for a disadvantage, okay?
A disadvantage?
To diversity.
Gosh, that, you know, I just think there's so many advantages to it, to diversity. I can't think of disadvantages. Although while Annette was giving her story about not being promoted for a position, that recently just happened to me as well. And, you know, I tried not to think that the first thought was I didn't get the job because I'm a female, or because I'm also Hawaiian Chinese. So you know, is it because of my race? You know, so you know, I think a disadvantage is that that's the first thing that we go to. And so I wish that we wouldn't think that, but unfortunately we live in a society where that is the first thing that we think of.
Okay. Lisa, right? Is that who's next? Lisa. Lisa, an advantage.
An advantage. Okay, what was I going to say? So I think an advantage of diversity is, yeah, well, okay, so where I'm from a little farming town in Idaho. There are a lot of racist people here. There are a lot of Mormons here as well. So it's also a kind of a religious racist thing that goes on here too. And which is terrible that I have to say that, but sometimes LDS people can be the worst to other people. And so I think one of the advantages, I know from like where I worked, my boss was bishopric, white, you know, the typical white male. He was also very snobby. Nobody liked him, you know, and he brought in diversity into our facilities just because he felt like he had to. And he was opposed, was not happy about it. And he would like let us know about it. But it turned out to be the best thing that he did, because the people in the area that were of the same diversity, the same religion, that saw that, oh, hey, they didn't just hire another Mormon white person. You know, maybe we'll try out this place. So I think it helps any company to have that diversity. You know, those were some of the best people that we ever worked with as well. So.
Okay. Nick, give us a disadvantage.
So I think one disadvantage of diversity is and this would probably occur more with coworkers, is that if people do come from different cultural backgrounds, there can be clashing. There can be some things that is normal in one culture that's perceived as weird or different to another, and so I can see that potentially being a negative side effect in the workplace. I don't have any good examples, but you know, we're all LDS, so I suppose like if we were working with someone who like to party a lot, and you know, they're like alcoholics and they come over hungover on Monday, I feel like, you know, they could clash with us a little bit. So
all right. And Sunny, give us an advantage.
Okay. I would, the only other, well, there's not only other, an advantage that I haven't heard yet is that it makes the workplace more fun. It really does.
Oh,
I mean, it sounds like a cheesy children's book, but it would be very, very boring if we were all the same, you know. So I think the differences bring a fun variety.
really a good perspective.
Can I add one more thing?
Of course.
Just as we were talking about this, because I was raised in Rexburg, Idaho, which is really wide, and I remember when I was growing up, there was only one black person in our whole town. Everybody knew who he was. Since then, you know, we have more Hispanics. But when I married my husband, we came back here. He graduated from law school. He became an attorney in a very prestigious law firm, and I think that helped people look at him that he wasn't different. I mean, because of his stature, and they didn't really think down on him. Does that make sense? Then he became our bishop. Okay, here's this big tall Hawaiian in this all white, you know, ward stake, you know, and I think that helped the people in our area look at diversity as it's okay to be different, you know. So anyway, that's all.
All right. Thank you for sharing. Okay, one last question. What approach would somebody take as a manager? Now that we've talked about this, what approach would you take to either embrace diversity or diversity? Let's just leave it open-ended. How would you approach it as a manager? Rock, paper, scissors.
So I guess I kind of have an experience that goes along, kind of ties everything in together. So when I was managing the assisted living, I got pregnant. I was really sick with my pregnancy. I had to quit the job, but I asked if I could find a replacement because I already had somebody in mind. He was Hispanic, but I'm sure he was a good mix. He was awesome. He was also homosexual. But he was the best guy for the job, which was another big thing down at the place I was running. It was mostly female residents, and they did not want a guy running that place. But I told my boss, I said, you have to meet with this guy, like, because he had worked for me the whole time I was there. He was great. He knew everything. I'd kind of been training him. My boss totally thought he was qualified, but this is terrible. This guy's now in jail for investor fraud, by the way, so you can think of him badly. He decided not to choose him because of all of that. He didn't want to upset his residents, and the families were fine, obviously. He didn't want to upset the residents, and he himself was a little bit racist and homophobic, I think, you know, being the big white male that he was. So I was a little bit upset about that and disappointed because this guy was perfect, would have done a great job, but didn't get it because of all of what he was. So.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. That could have, as we read all those other case stories, it could have opened him up for some lawsuits there maybe. Okay. So now let's go back to doohickeys real quick. If you were in group 1 and we're going to talk about teamwork, raise your hand. Okay, so our group still has 3 people. So let's turn on our mics real quick, group 1. When and how do we want to meet to get this put together? Because it's due next week. And so my idea is that we all need to kind of be done with this by Tuesday or so that it can get put into one big paper over the rest of the week.
So who's doing the one big paper? Because wasn't it the other guy and he hasn't shown up?
That's right. So here's my other idea for that. I think, because I think there's just 3 of them. So I think group 1 should be given all the other group stuff and we can roll it into one paper. Decide how to do that. And then group 2 gets the next one, the 3 of them, and group 3 gets the next one to compile. Does everyone think that's a decent idea?
Sure.
That way it's not given to one person who has to drop the class or something like that.
Yeah, that
Okay,
sounds
so
good.
when do we want to meet, group one?
Right now is fine.
I can't do any more now.
Okay.
Can Thursday work for us?
Sure.
Yep.
Okay, do we want to do Thursday at 8 o'clock again?
Can
Sure.
we do 8:30?
I can do 8:30.
Yep.
Okay.
Does somebody besides me want to make the hangout
Wait.
so that I don't mess it up?
Wait, it's 7. It's 8:30. Sorry, I'm in California. Are we talking Mountain Time?
Yeah, Mountain Time.
Okay.
Do you need to do it
My daughter has
9:30 Mountain Time?
cheerleading until 7:30 California time, which is 8:30 Mountain Time. So could we do 9?
9 works for me because I'm also in Pacific Time. What time are you in?
I'm in Las Vegas, so yeah, that's fine.
So we would all be
Okay.
8 o'clock. Okay.
Okay, so Annette or Lonnie, are one of you able to do our hangout setup?
Sure, I'll do that.
Okay, so why don't we mute now that we've got a time set up, and we'll let group 2 talk. Who's still in group 2? Okay, turn on your mics and talk.
I didn't see who else raised their hand.
I am.
Was it?
Jocelyn.
Oh,
Amanda,
perfect.
Lisa.
So
Okay, perfect.
I thought in our last meeting someone said they were gonna upload a Google Docs link. Did that ever happen? Because I never got it if it did.
Yeah, I did it,
Yes.
and I sent the link to everybody's Gmail.
Okay, I never got it. So
Let me see if
are
I have
we?
your Gmail.
Oh, well, I can give it to you. Are we uploading everything to that? Are we doing separate documents and emailing them? Are we doing the Google Docs then? Is that what we're doing?
No, everybody just use the Google Doc.
Okay, cool.
Maybe I don't have your email, Amanda. I think that's why. It's not on the
Okay.
list.
It's
Wanna
really
type it on
easy.
Type it on the side and then I'll write it down.
Group, I am good to meet. Oof. I have a group meeting Wednesday, Tuesday, Friday. I have Thursday free still.
We could do that.
Yeah,
Later.
Thursday's good. Any day for me is good as long as it's later.
What is later for you
So-
guys? Because I'm an
If you're in
hour.
Texas,
Yeah, I'm in Texas, so.
and we're both in Idaho.
Well, you guys name a time. Yeah, I'm in Idaho, so
Okay.
it doesn't matter.
Can we do earlier than 9? Because it's like almost 10:15 here. So can we do an earlier time, or do you guys still have to do it at 8 your time?
Oh, I can go earlier.
I'm
Okay.
still babysitting grandkids, so I need to
Okay,
get them in bed, release the baby.
Okay, so
if
8.
it's 7, yes, well, 8, 7:30, I could do 7:30.
Okay, cool.
So
Let's
that's
do 7.
8:30 your time. Hopefully it's not gonna be really long, right?
Yeah, hopefully. Are we
hopefully
just?
not.
What are we
Yeah,
doing?
I don't think so.
We're just
So,
putting
okay, cool.
together
So-
our section, so
Yep.
okay, perfect.
So just to verify, that's Thursday at what time Mountain Standard?
7:30.
7:30.
7:30 Mountain. Perfect. I can do that.
Okay, somebody can start it. You wanna do that, Amanda? You wanna
Yeah, I
Invite
can
it?
start it.
invite it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I typed in my Gmail address in the chat group. If you guys can email me your individual Gmail addresses to that, then I can just get it started.
Okay.
On Thursday. Cool.
Okay, so before group 3 talks real quick, please remember we're supposed to use outside sources. Has anyone else used BibMe, BIBME.org for doing bibliographies for things like this?
I've used a site similar to that. I don't think it's called BibMe, but it's I can't remember what it's called right now, but you just type in the name of the book and it it spits out how you're supposed to bibliography the book. It's super cool, super easy.
Yeah. So why don't we all try to use, if it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work, but it's a real easy website to use. It's BIBMERG. So make sure that you put your parentheticals and tell it from the beginning, let's all use MLA. You know, make sure you get your parentheticals in there and then your bibliography at the end. That'll help the compiling it into one paper. Okay, your turn.
So I think that just leaves me and Nick.
Yep.
So this might be a stupid question, but we have to have another recorded hangout session.
It doesn't have to be
But it does have to be a hangout session between group members?
No, you just have to get your paper in by next week, however you want to do it.
Okay.
I don't care how you do it.
Nick, do you care if we coordinate back and forth with email and Google Docs?
That'd be fine.
Are you good with that? Okay, because I'm an avid email Googler, but I'm not an avid I don't really have any evenings left that I can have another set meeting time. So if you're okay with us going back and forth.
Can we do Google Docs and texting? I'll be honest,
Yes.
this a Gmail that the school has. It's kind of my junk Gmail.
Okay.
And so it gets a whole bunch of spam. So.
Okay, then while I'm thinking of it, tell me your number.
All right, so it's 410.
Okay.
259-8294.
Okay. All right. Yep. We'll text and email and get that figured out. And so for the group, once we all have it together, what's the next step then, Tanny?
So once your small group has it together, please make sure it's in the Dropbox. I would say, is group one, are we okay to assimilate it if they all get it to us by Tuesday night?
Okay, the other thing, Tanny, did you start the group text? Because I didn't get anything.
Yes.
Did you guys get a group text this week?
Yep.
Okay, I didn't get anything.
Okay, hold on. Let me add you in and we'll try again.
Okay, well, what I was going to say is if group one is putting it together, editing, whatever, then once we have it finalized, then we can send out a text saying, check it out. Will be submitted within, for whatever hours. And then we can just put it in the Dropbox after everybody's had a certain amount of time to check it over and let us know if there is any errors. Does that sound okay?
Yeah, I think they need to have theirs. If they get us theirs by Tuesday night, then we should hopefully be able to have it sitting in there Friday early morning. Do you think?
Tuesday next week?
Because it doesn't. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so Tuesday next week, and then we'll finish the rest up, and then we can get it back and turned in by Friday. Is that when you want to have it turned in by?
Yeah, we'll have it back so everyone can look at it Friday.
Okay.
Make any comments, decisions, and then finish it up and drop it Friday night.
Okay.
Does that work for everyone?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Annette, give me your phone number because, yep, I didn't have you.
714-274.
2 as in Tom, 274.
Yeah, do you see it on the side? 714.
I got it now. Yep. And Annette, what's your last name? Is it Finch?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Send out another group text tonight so that hopefully now we'll get everybody on and going.
Okay, so next week, Monday night, right? Same time?
Same time.
Okay.
Sunny, can you stay for just two seconds afterwards? You guys can listen if you want, but
who's the group leader next week?
oh, group leader. Let's let Amanda be the group leader next week.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So Sunny, I was looking at the next part that's like the leader part.
So we can drop, right?
Good
Yeah,
night,
you
guys.
guys can drop if you want.
Good night. Stop the broadcast too.
Okay, I'll stop it.